Okay, Joshua,
Oh, that's cool looking.
welcome to More Lore No Bore.
Do you notice that every time that we start this, by the way, that like our voice gets really soft and it's a lot more relaxed?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
I love it.
Welcome to More Lore No Bore with our resident lore expert Joshua.
Um,
It has, we heard a little bit about Jax earlier, not really much because it was a little bit of a show. But yeah,
yeah,
so
I kind of
we're going to hear today about Jax, who's standing in front of what I've imagined the void to be. And yeah, the floor is yours.
So I actually want to talk a little bit about Jax's old lore before we get into his new lore because he's probably the best example of how a champion update lore wise is done correctly. Um, Jax originally was this was back when the Summoners Institute was a thing. Jax was considered the greatest warrior in Runeterra. That he would go into fights, and no matter what he did, he always won. And so he started to challenge himself, which is why he carries the lamp. He brought a weapon that he said no one else could use, thus the lamp, and he would still win all his matches. He was very confident and cocky, and he was considered like the greatest champion to ever step into League. Um, Obviously, this has changed greatly because League's lore has changed um, since then. Now he is from Ikitha, which was a part of um, Shurima. Shurima was after the fall of uh, actually going back a little further. I would say during the time of Azir, they were pushing their borders to new heights. They were taking over everything they could, and you would either fall to the Ascended or you would join them and then, give your lives to the royalty of Shurima. Ikitha obviously did not want to give up their freedom and the way of life, so they decided that they needed a weapon against the Ascended. There's various stories on how they came to create the void. Um, Jax is actually first seen in a short story that has where he appears as a minor character, I believe called Ajax. The egg joke coming from the fact that the character consistently ate and peeled eggs throughout the story, and it's mentioned in his biography as his favorite snack.
Hmm.
Um, so that actually does hold lore. I'm not just making that up for memes. Um,
I would never assume so.
thank you. Um, so when the battle time for battle came, all the ascended were outside the walls of Ikitha with their warriors, and the people of Ikitha were preparing to die. Basically, they didn't believe that many of them would survive. Um, so he kind of like from there it's kind of like how do I describe it? It's foggy, I guess would say, because we're told the city is basically destroyed. Like the destruction of the void is can't really be described as anything else besides a hunger. The most intelligent thing that is created from the void is Vel'Koz. Um, which is deconstructs everything to learn about it. Whereas like everything else, like Kog'Maw, Kha'Zix, Kogoth, they're hungry. They're not very intelligent creatures, but they're hungry. Uh, and the void destroys and consumes everything that comes in touch with it. Um, so I do want to correct myself real quick. Jax's real name, I will say, is Syjax Kale Renix. I hope I pronounced that right. But I looked up his last name. But basically, these people discover the power of the void. They use it. The Mage King of Ikitha uses it. It ends up destroying the city. Um, Now, like the last surviving person of his city, Jax. They refer to him as Jax, but eventually it gets shortened down over centuries to Jax. Um,
Sorry, can you hear that in the background or no?
No, I cannot.
Okay.
Um, he was like he was a warrior of he was prepared to like kill himself. Like it was tradition that warriors of Ikitha, called Koth, I can never say these names. I apologize. Kohari, would kill themselves. But among the ruins of his city, he saw he noticed an elemental fire, the lamp, basically, that would become his weapon. He picked it up and decided that he would call it the last light of Ikitha, and it'd be his hope. So he went out into Runeterra, traveling across the world, trying to kind of find a purpose and find what he had to do in life. Now, um, he was affected by the void as well, so he's lived for centuries, you know. It's been going on for so long that like he's kind of he knows his purpose, but like he's not even close to the man who left the what was left of his homes. It's I mean, like, you know, somebody changes after traveling the world for centuries. There's like nothing left of Jax. It's now Jax, the vagabond warrior. Um, he's fought hundreds of warriors, thousands even, hoping to find those who are strong enough to eventually help him defeat the void that's slowly expanding. Um, but Jax is pretty sure that the final battle is now near, with more of the void showing up in various other stories. We're pretty certain that both the void and the Freljord are about to become uh massive battlegrounds for the end of Runeterra.
Hmm. Would you say I'm hopping back to towards the beginning of what you said, just because I didn't want to interrupt you, but I'm gonna say, would you say that it's more accurate that he created the void or created a portal to the void?
So he did not. I should very clarify. His people did. So if I remember exactly right, there was a massive earthquake that went through a province that Ikitha was in. Um, and so these mages of his people went down, uh, and it was like so disturbing, the like what they had found down in the craters of this earthquake, that they were like they're like, we can use this magic, this powerful magic, this horrible thing we've found. Uh, he- uh, we can use this to fight the Ascended and kill them. Um, Jax himself was like, this is a terrible idea. Like, we should definitely not use this. But the people were so desperate that they're like, we're gonna end up using this to kill the Ascended when they come for us.
Hmm, cool. I mean, this brings whole new meaning to Jax against Cho'Gath in the top lane, but
Yeah.
it's,
Um.
I like his old lore better personally, but
Yeah. It's interesting because Jax is like very similar to Cassidon, where they've lost so much to due to the void. By the way, Shurima is literally like, imagine a sandbox, except instead of like the plastic underneath, it's just thousands and thousands of horrible monsters and ugly bug-like creatures is just slowly burrowing up to hopefully eat everything they find on the upper layer.
are these all void creatures or just?
All void creatures.
Hmm.
Um, so far, Kaisa, Jax, Cassidon, and Malzahar are the only four that I think have really. Oh, and Rengar have come in with contact with void creatures. I will also say that Rengar has lost an eye, and almost died when dealing with this first void creature. Jax's home was destroyed. Cassidon lost his entire village. Kaisa is now kind of void monster, and Malzahar, upon seeing the power of the void, decided that humanity has no hope of living against the void and now preaches that we should join them.
I was gonna say it seems like everyone who came in contact with the void is part void, except for Jax, I guess, sort of. And sorry, what was the other one you said?
Cassidon would probably be the only other one who's.
No, Cassidon is part void.
No, I don't think so anymore. They've done a few rewrites on him. I believe now all his gear comes from Zahn, but I
Please
could
explain Riftwalk.
Riftwalk, I believe, is so Riftwalk. You have to understand, he's not been uh has not been what's it called, updated. But looking at it quickly, he stole the infamous nether blade of Horok, the sword that has slain 1,000 deceivers in the latter day of the Empire.
Mm-hmm.
It's a magic sword that he's allowed to kind of like cut through. But yes, all his gear is looks like it's Zonite. That was blessed by Ionian spirit healers.
But it shoots like purple void.
You have to understand though that he literally has not had visual updates. Like his lore has been updated, but he has not had a visual update.
Gotcha.
And so like, there's a lot of things like it's not perfect. Like once he gets a visual update, it's probably gonna be changed.
So what was the updated version of why he has a lamp, Jax?
It's one of the few things that survived. It's an element
His home.
of fire. Yeah, and it's called the Last Light of Ikitha.
Okay, that's pretty cool too.
That it is pretty cool. Also, fun fact, Kaisa, I think I think it's her E. It's where the rain thing happens.
It's her Q.
Her Q. Yeah, that's also called Icathian Hellfire or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a reference to the destruction of Ikitha.
Cool. I like it. Well, thank you so much for sharing the story with us today. Do you have anything that you want to leave people with about Jax?
Can somebody try a boiled, like, I want somebody to eat an egg like Jax does. He like eats this egg in such a weird way. He just kind of like pops it into his mouth like slowly, if I remember right. I want somebody to do that and tell me how it goes, because like I want to know if Jax is just like a weirdo or if like this is possible to just eat an egg whole.
We might need more instructions on that to figure out exactly what you're talking about, but but okay, we could have people try that. We have people.
Yeah, thank you. To any of the more lore, no bore fans, just take an egg and shove it in your mouth and tell me how it goes. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Josh, for the story. Thank you for suggesting people basically choke on an egg. And yeah, thanks for being with us tonight and telling us a little bit more about Jax. And hopefully we'll hear some more about the Void. And by the way, I'm amazed at how accurate my animations end up being a lot of times when I know nothing about the story.
I really like this because this is how I imagine Vel'Koz's ultimate looks like in your final moments, except as Jax.
I mean, when you're saying like the whole like void thing and it destroying people and stuff, and like Jax is the only one left, I'm like, wow, this is actually like pretty good.
Yeah, you're like, hey, I'm a genius.
I'm a genius right now. So yeah, anyways, all right, Josh, thank you so much. Have a good night, and we'll see you guys next week for some more Lore No Bore, and of course, the State of the League podcast. Have a good week, and we'll talk to you soon.